Cricket World Radio.
And this is Cricket World Around the World. Welcome to Cricket World Around the World. I'm John Pennington. I'm joined for this week's show by Jim White. Hello, Jim.
John, hello to you. What a day we've got in front of us. The sun's out. I'm looking forward to the season.
Well, I was going to say, incredible day, weeks ahead of us. An incredible week it's been, because I want to start this week's show by looking back at the World Cup. We're going to be hearing from, amongst others, Gary Kirsten, Sachin Tendulkar and Mahendra Singh Dhoni later on. But first, we're going to have a look back at the World Cup, look ahead as well to the Indian Premier League and a few other things as well. But what a finale to a fantastic tournament on Saturday, Jim. Dhoni hitting that six.
Yes, it's the other fairy tale, isn't it, really? Tendulkar's 100th, if I can say it, would have been the icing on the cake for him. But what it does allow to happen, that just goes why shows it's a team event. Other guys have pulled in together. Gujran Gambhir, fantastic in the final. And Dhoni, we were discussing earlier about how Yuvraj Singh maybe is a bit too high at 4. Let someone else score the 100 and he can then come in and hit it to all parts. Dhoni took on responsibility, led from the front, and I tell you what, his stock as captain and as a player just keeps going up.
Well, it's quite a record, isn't it? Because he's won the World 2020, he's guided India to the top of the Test rankings, he's won the Champions League, he's won the IPL, now he's won the World Cup. And there are still some people out there who say, no, he's not the best captain in the world.
I'm trying to work out where else he can play. Well, he hasn't won, actually. Maybe a few domestic tournaments.
Champions Trophy, maybe the only one he hasn't won.
Absolutely. But no, it's a remarkable achievement. Of course, when things all come together, obviously Gary Kirsten retiring as coach, out of the top. What a great place to finish. And it really goes to show how well they've done across all forms of cricket. I think that's the interesting thing here, is that in some forms, some of the teams have been a bit up and down. India have maintained their position. They've really drawn the strengths. That's why I think a lot of credit goes to Gary Kirsten and to MS Dhoni, because as in all good partnerships, it's the on-field and the off-field that make it really happen. And top marks to them.
And you mentioned Gary Kirsten standing down as coach. Quite a few coaches and captains have decided that's it. World Cup, we often see this sort of 4-year cycle. Sangakkara and Harbhajan have stepped aside in Sri Lanka. We've got New Zealand in no rush to replace Daniel Vettori. So plenty of jobs out there. If any of our listeners fancy coaching India, South Africa, captaining New Zealand perhaps, then get your applications in.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. It's a bit of a sort of shake of the bag, really, isn't it? Let's see who lands where, because invariably sometimes a change of scenery will do people a bit of good. Obviously, Kirsten, you mentioned there, goes out on top. Others haven't done so well and just looking for new ground. And sometimes and we've seen this with a lot of national sides, it's how does the gelling process work? How well does the captain, who invariably it has to be that person because you're only limited, but coaches, you can choose from anybody, and making that partnership work is absolutely vital to a team's development. And it's not just a one series wonder. They need to plan ahead. Things they're putting in place now may not come to fruition for months or a couple of years over different forms of cricket. But yeah, you mentioned Kirsten. I think he's a great example of someone that's really set his stall out. Fantastic planning, and yeah, well done to him. And to the players that have done what he's asked. That, I think, is another key issue.
You mentioned there gelling and planning, and that moves us nicely onto our next topic, the Indian Premier League. It's all very different now. We've got Chennai Super Kings and Mumbai Indians were the only teams to retain 4 of their players. The rest, open auction, go and play for another team. It's going to be fascinating to see which teams gel the quickest, and I think the teams that gel the quickest will get off the line quickest.
I agree with that as well. Of course, there are some players who I don't think will ever leave their franchise, Dhoni and Tendulkar being 2 very obvious examples. Others, of course, the overseas players will come and chop around. Maybe that's the attraction, is the fact that this year you might have one person, next year someone else. There's no real loyalty in that sense. It's paper play, if you like. Just going through the list of the stars of the Indian team, but also Indian players and also the overseas players. It is quite incredible what they've got together. And of course, the 2 new franchises, which we've also got this year, which will throw in the mix. I've backed them to win a few games. I'm not too sure. One might do better than the other, but it's an interesting mix.
Overall winners then, just to throw in at the deep end?
Well, I just looked, when you've got people like, in no particular order, Shane Warne, Shane Watson, Sean Tate, Ross Taylor and Rahul Dravid, I don't see the Rajasthan Royals.
Yeah, Rajasthan Royals
will be my team for the tournament at this moment. Of course, I'm bound to be proved not 100% right, but I do like the fact that Shane Warne has done particularly well in this form of cricket, and now he's at the Royals. I'll see him doing well, and bring the team together. And you mentioned the gelling. I think that's where he'll really have a trump card to play.
I'm going to play it a bit safer, Jim. I'm going to go for the Mumbai Indians to win. Go one better than
clean
last
sweep
year.
for Tendulkar then. That's
well,
what
it would. What a story that would be. That would be fantastic. Do check out our Mr. Predictor videos on the Indian Premier League for an in-depth look at each squad and then looking ahead to the first 3 games. And from one Premier League to another, Jim, you've got something interesting for us.
Yes, I've just been speaking with Mark Platten, Chief Exec of Guernsey Cricket, and this may be news to a lot of our listeners, but the Guernsey Premier League is taking part this year in 4 weekends in June, and they're going to be having 2020 cricket for franchises. They had the player auction. They've got, I think, Ian Harvey, James Kirtley, Sean Udall involved in that. Sort of Friday night, all day Saturday, 3 games over 2 days. Little bit of a jump to their, also a little away from their domestic cricket, if you like. But of course, the big news over in Guernsey is that later in the year, they actually have their World Cup qualifiers for the World 2020 in July. Jersey and Guernsey are co-hosting this tournament, where they'll have a number of teams playing over a few days and weeks. And I think Guernsey then travel to Jersey for the semi-finals and finals. Winners of that go through to another region where the top 2 from other regions come together, and from that they qualify to play against the likes of Ireland, Netherlands and others to play in the World 2020. So very exciting times over on the island of Guernsey. So June and July, some top cricket over there, that's for sure.
And bringing it closer to home, top cricket, county cricket season underway. What are we looking forward to? And again, it's the earliest ever county season start. We seem to be saying that every year. But, it's a nice day for it, at least. Just keeping an eye on all the Twitter feeds, for example. And we're on Twitter, by the way. Cricket_world is our handle. All of these sort of counties. Beautiful day here. No rain interruptions as yet. So let's hope it stays that way. And what are you most looking forward to this year?
Very much so, I mean, the weather, as we speak, John, is much more akin to where most of the teams have been pre-season, which is hot and sunny. Invariably, the English county season starts off with long sleeve sweaters, a chilly day, and no one's overly interested in having a ball hit very hard at them or having to bowl at 90 miles an hour. It is, a weekend earlier. Having said that, a lot of the pre-season, I understand, has been much more competitive this year for teams that we've spoken to, like Leicestershire, for example, in Barbados. Some real top cricket there. Individuals have been away with England Lions, of course, playing in the domestic competition over in the Caribbean. So they're really upping the ante now for the amount of the quality, shall I say, of cricket that's being played. And the individuals I know will be, despite their pre-season, what will Leicester do? Visit the National Space Centre, team building, raft building. We spoke to Matthew Hogarth as well. It's all about getting guys to gel. We mentioned this earlier. I think those who do that best and know each other better will play for each other a bit better. And I think that, again, it will be important, because at the start of the season, I would suggest they're looking to win every game, more so home games and away games. But let's see who comes to the fore in the different forms of cricket. A bit of a shake-up this year.
Just going to concentrate on the county championship. That's all getting underway. A little block of county championship matches. Your winners of the county championship, please, Jim.
Oh, it's a very good idea, JP. Narrow it down to 3 for me.
Well, Somerset are favoured by quite a few. If you look at certain odds, sort of Somerset up there, Nottinghamshire, Durham will always be strong. I am from Somerset, but I'm reluctant to sort of predict them for being accused of bias, so I'm going to go with Nottinghamshire.
You'll also put the kibosh on JP.
It might well do, but I'm going to go with Nottinghamshire to retain their title for me. If you had to say, right, JP, you have to spend £1 or whatever, off you go and do that. If you go Nottinghamshire.
I don't think you're far away, to be fair. They've played some brilliant cricket more recently, but I do like Durham are always strong. They really are.
Palmerston probably play most of the year as well.
Yeah, Onions, of course, another setback, unfortunately for him, but he's looking to come back, and to an extent, for a lot of players, he's almost a bit of an unknown quantity. He hasn't bowled for so long, and again, I think what will be key here again is the amount of cricket. Steve Harmison has been talking about it recently in the press, saying there is too much cricket, and I know that the schedules have been looked at for the next few seasons to reduce one form of the version. And but oddly, just on that, if I can just say, on the scheduling, I know some of the teams have got a week off in the season. Well, and then they've got a whole batch of games in a short amount of time. So I think, county championship, I think you're not too far off when you say Notts. Okay, just want to finish our little chat with one final point on the World Cup, because the ICC have decided that in 2015 we're only going to have the 10 full member countries playing. That means the 10 test play nations. So Zimbabwe are in, Ireland aren't in, they're ranked above Zimbabwe in one-day cricket, and I can tell the way you're shaking your head, Jim, you're not in agreement with that decision. Well, I just think that it's Ireland have worked so hard. They've got a new international state.
And it's not just Ireland. Let's not forget Netherlands, Kenya.
True.
Canada, they've had their moments at this World Cup.
I think the work they've done should be reflected in some more cricket. I believe the World Cup was too long. I'm in agreement with that. I think there's maybe another way of structuring. I think what's happened is they've jumped too far the other way and chopped too much of it out. And behind closed doors, really. So a bit of a shame. Ireland understandably are furious about it, as I'm sure there are the Netherlands. So, yeah, 2 more teams maybe, with a little bit more cricket. I think you have to give these teams an opportunity to play at the top level. And as we know, Ireland beat England anyway. So maybe England are lucky to be in that top 10.
That might explain why, if they voted against it, that might be why. Interesting, we did a poll on our Facebook page, facebook.com/Cricket World, all one word, Cricket World. And the people that responded actually said it was a good idea for the game of cricket, but we certainly are not necessarily in agreement with that.
I think you've got 2 things here. You've
got to give the opportunity for all the countries in the world. And that's not just Ireland and Scotland; it's the 95 countries that are associate and affiliate league. You've got to give them that incentive. Look, go to the World Cricket League, possibly qualify for the World Cup. You take that away, you think, well, what are they playing for? 2020 isn't the be all and the end all.
No, that's true. We know with the World 2020, of course, that's been expanded, but has it gone far enough? I've still, in the back of my mind, think the Olympics will have more teams playing 2020 cricket than in the ICC World 2020, which I think is something that needs to be addressed. Maybe they've missed the boat already. Who knows? 2020 in 2020 for the Olympics would be just fantastic. But as you're right, it's about the development of the game. And I think in this issue, the ICC have just jumped too far the other way. They've listened and don't want to. It's a shame. At least 2 more teams should be there to give, as you say, the associates the opportunity to play, because even in 50 over cricket, there is long enough to beat teams of a decent nature. Everybody can have an off day or an on day.
Indeed, and as I made the point during the World Cup that back in August 2010, New Zealand beat India by 200 runs, and nobody was there running around saying, oh, India shouldn't be playing in the World Cup. Of course, we know they did play in the World Cup. They went on to win it. And I highlighted at the start of the show, they've got interviews with Sachin Tendulkar and Mahendra Singh Dhoni. We're going to hear from them now. This is a part of this week's edition of the ICC Cricket World Radio Show.
Hello and welcome to a very special extended edition of ICC Cricket World. I'm Gautam Bhimani. On the show today, we look back at the mega event that was the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011. In our mega lineup today, we speak to India's victorious captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni and the icon of Indian cricket Sachin Tendulkar, both a day after the final. We also bring you excerpts from interviews done with Yuvraj Singh, the man of the tournament, Gautam Gambhir, the man of the final, and Virat Kohli post the final game. We also have an exclusive interview with Gary Kirsten just hours before he was homebound after what's been a fabulous journey for him in Indian cricket. Let's not forget the losing finalists. We bring you excerpts from chats with Kumar Sangakkara and Mahela Jayawardene, who scored a fabulous century in the finale. And finally, we talk to Sri Lankan expert Ranjit Fernando as he looks back at Sri Lanka's campaign. Remember, they made it 2 finals in 2 World Cups. After 44 days and 49 matches, the biggest spectacle of cricket, the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011, came to a grand end on April the 2nd at the Wankhede Stadium in Mumbai, with India clinching a thriller against Sri Lanka to win the tournament after a span of 28 long years. In today's show, we look back at the mega event in the subcontinent, starting with what the men in blue felt after lifting the prestigious World Cup trophy. First up, we start with India's victorious skipper Mahendra Singh Dhoni speaking to ICC's James Fitzgerald the morning after.
MS, it's the morning after your amazing victory in the ICC Cricket World Cup. Do you feel that the burden of 1983 has been lifted off your shoulders now?
Well, I don't think it was a burden, it was a big achievement. Of course, the duration, between 2011 and 1983 is quite a big one to fulfill. And, if you see cricket, it's a very popular sport over here. And, whenever we turn up on the field, we are expected to win. It doesn't matter who we are playing, where we are playing. So, I wouldn't consider it as a burden, it was just that people knew that, we are a very talented side and, they expected us to win. So it was just an opportunity, you know, home conditions. We knew the conditions quite well. Most of our players were in good nick, and we were struggling a bit when it come to the bowling line at the start of the tournament. But overall, I think the bowlers did really well because we defended modest totals at the same time also. So I think overall it's a big achievement.
And you rightly say that it's a lot of is expected of this team. It always is. Do you think now it's even going to get worse because you're expected to win every game now that you've won the World Cup?
Well, you know, the big thing with Indian cricket is, you know, the expectation levels. It just goes one way. You know, it goes higher and higher. I don't think in the last 5 or 7 years, you know, that I have played, that I've seen it come down. So I think it can only go one way, and it's higher and higher.
Yeah. And what about all this money you're awarded after this? You must be the richest man in India at this stage.
You know, that's one thing that's quite common in India. When we won the T20 World Cup, you know, people showed their affection like this. It happens, you know, when you win big tournaments like this, and especially, you know, the longer the duration gets, the more the laurels or the rewards are. So that's secondary. You know, as I always say, you know, we need to do well on the field. Rest of the other things, you know, you just follow if you're doing well on the field. So I think these are the complementary stuff that we are getting because we have done well.
Dhoni reflecting on a fantastic victory. James was a busy man the morning after the final, and he also caught up with the icon Sachin Tendulkar.
Sachin Tendulkar, 99 international centuries, every kind of award you can imagine. You're an Indian hero, you're a cricketing hero all over the world. Do you think now that you've completed the set with the ICC Cricket World Cup? It was the last thing missing off your CV.
Well, this was the first thing actually, because you know, as a young boy, I started playing cricket, dreaming of lifting the trophy one day, and that is where it all started. So you know, I'm speechless, to be honest, to express myself what I feel, and this is by far the best moment. This is the moment that you know, I've been waiting for such a long time, 21, 22 years to wait for this moment. It's really worth every bit of it. You know, was really special.
It hasn't come easy. There's been a lot of work, a lot of down times, I suppose, with disappointment in previous World Cups and other tournaments, and it must almost be more special because of the hard work that's gone in.
Yeah, it's my 6th World Cup, and you can well imagine, you know, having played 5 World Cups where one of them we lost in the semis and the other one in the finals. You know, was really heartbreaking, but you know, one should never give up and continue to work hard and not lose hopes. I felt you know, it was extremely important to chase my dreams, and the biggest dream was this. So you know, I continued chasing my dream.
So what next now for you? You've done everything there is to do in the game. Do you think you're ready to hang up your boots?
Oh, this is a moment to enjoy and celebrate. I think you know, it's not about what I'm going to do in the future or not. I think this is a special moment which I really want to enjoy, and you know, live this moment to its fullest. You know, this is the moment where this was the reason I started playing cricket. You know, and wanting to achieve something, do something for a country, and the process has been a long one. I mean, I've continued enjoying my game, and I'm enjoying it at this stage, so I don't see any reason why I need to change anything right now.
Well, congratulations. I'm sure I speak for not just Indian cricket fans, but cricket fans around the world when I say you've been a fantastic ambassador for the sport, and I know you're an ICC ambassador as well, and it's a fitting tribute to you and your career that you can finally have that ICC Cricket World Cup medal to show off.
Thank you very much. Wonderful talking to you.
Time now to rewind to the night of the final. And our correspondent Dinesh Chopra caught up with the man of the moment and the man of the series, Yuvraj Singh, right after Team India were crowned champions.
Yuvi, dream come true, isn't it?
Yeah, it's unbelievable. I mean, the whole of countries, I'm sure dancing. It was every individual, everyone born in India, outside India, every Indian would be very proud of us.
You said in the press conference after the Australia game that you're playing this one for somebody special, and you're going to share with us after you win the final. Who that is? Just unfold the mystery.
It's not my fiance, it's not my girlfriend. It was for Sachin Tendulkar. So I don't know. Some people will be happy, some will be sad.
Okay, what does this victory mean for Indian cricket? I mean, this is something else. I mean, T20 World Cup, IPL victories are special, but this is something else, isn't it?
I can't explain, because this was a dream for all of us. Since Gary's coming for the last year and a half and two, we worked towards it. We trained day in, day night. Worked hard on our skills. Motivated each other, backed each other. I think our unity, the way everybody was in the dressing room, the way Gary kept everyone, and the way we worked on our skills, and it's just a great team effort.
To say that Yuvraj Singh was ecstatic would be the understatement of the year. But it wasn't just Yuvraj who was the architect of India's win. Gautam Gambhir played a match-winning knock of 97 and only narrowly missed out on being named man of the match. What was the feeling of being world champions? Well, that was yet to sink in for the Delhi lad as Dinesh Chopra spoke to him to find out how it feels to be a world beater.
Gautam, tell us the feeling that you're having inside, standing on the balcony, seeing these historic moments unfold in front of you.
So first of all, it hasn't sunk as yet. Once it starts sinking, then only I can tell you the story, but it's just a feeling, it's just out of the world. I think some of the guys in the dressing room got really emotional because they've seen the lows of 2007, and then coming from that low and ending up winning the next World Cup is a tremendous feeling. I think the very emotional scenes inside.
Did you cry as well? Did you have tear in the eyes?
I was a fortunate one that I didn't have to go through that experience in 2007, but I think two World Cups I've been part of, and ended up winning both the World Cups. So it's been a great feeling. I think the first World Cup which I played in 2020, we ended up winning, and this was my first 50 overs, ended up winning. So I think it's been a great feeling. But I think all credit goes to these guys who've experienced the lows in 2007 and then standing up and delivering it for the country.
I'm sure on a day like this, it doesn't really matter whether you get a World Cup 100 or not. Does it matter?
Well, I think it would have been the icing on the cake, but I still feel that contributing in the team's success is a big part, and there's been a lot of criticism, I think, about me not converting and all that stuff. But I think tried my best, tried to play the innings, which was very important. I think it was a complete team effort.
Gautam Gambhir as candid with his words as he is with the willow. Another person who hasn't been picking up wickets by the bucketful in the World Cup but has still been effective and still a part of India's winning combination is Harbhajan Singh. Here he is with Dinesh Chopra.
Harbhajan, standing here, seeing these emotional moments unfold, were you also the one who had tears in his eyes when the victory happened?
Yes, I had tears in my eyes. Obviously, it was a big moment for all of us, and I can't just describe in words, how I felt and what this moment means to us. And obviously, winning the World Cup is something, we have always dreamed of.
So, tell us, when the World Cup was starting, when we were in the initial days, what did Sachin tell you or the whole team? I know you're very close to him. You're one of the best buddies of Sachin Tendulkar. What did he tell you, about the World Cup?
Well, obviously, he always says that just go and play your game. Whatever is written for us, we'll get that. Even today, after getting out, he was just sitting on his chair and he was just praying throughout the game, and so was I. And obviously, when you pray from the bottom of your heart, definitely your God will listen. And today he have given us the moment which I can't just describe in the words. It means this is the life. This is something really special. I can't describe, seriously. God has been really kind.
Bhaji, one of the veterans of Team India, time to look at the other end of the spectrum and look at someone who's looked at as a promising star of the future. Dinesh Chopra caught up with Virat Kohli.
Virat, has the feeling sunk in? You guys are the world champions now.
Do you expect the feeling to sink in like an hour? I don't think it's going to sink in for probably the rest of our lives. I mean, it's just such a special moment for all of us in the team, and especially for me, because being 22 and being able to achieve something like this and being a part of the world champion team and being able to contribute at an important stage in the finals, You know, I'm feeling on top of the world right now, and it's just an emotional moment for all of us right now, and especially for one man, Sachin Tendulkar, for whom we all put in such an effort to, you know, actually win this World Cup and just give him a special gift.
Tell us, what was the feeling last night, you know, when you guys had your team meeting, post that, when you knew that you were off to bed, that tomorrow is perhaps the biggest cricketing day of your life?
Well, I was just trying to, you know, keep myself relaxed, not think about the game too much. But obviously that thought comes to your mind, you know, every now and then, playing a game, the biggest game of your life the next day, and playing against a strong team as well, who, you know, can upset you in a big game. So, you know, that crosses your mind every now and then. But I don't know, I mean, just leaving that hotel room in the morning and just coming to the ground, and now this moment, I just can't remember anything apart from, you know, just winning this World Cup and Dhoni's last 6. So I totally forgot what my feeling was, you know, just before the game, and when I entered the field. I can just remember that last shot, and we've written history just then.
Virat Kohli there, completing the lineup of Indian stars that we bring to you today on this special edition of ICC Cricket World, looking back at the mega ICC World Cup 2011. But when it comes to India's triumph, we don't only look at the players, we have to concentrate on the coach. Now, the ex-coach. Time to hear from Gary Kirsten. Sai Prasad Mahapatra caught up with him just hours before he left for South Africa.
Gary, just few hours remaining before you catch your flight back to South Africa. How are you feeling?
Yeah, it's been a surreal 48 hours, to be honest with you. It's been a magnificent occasion, a dream come true for the team, and obviously for the Indian people. For me, it's been a wonderful end to a process that we started a long time ago in terms of what we wanted to achieve as a team.
How many times you have played that picture in your mind, the fantasy of lifting the cup, and actually when it happened?
I never pictured it in my mind at all, to be honest. You know, we said over 2 years ago that we wanted to win the World Cup, and really up until the event actually happened, I didn't give it too much thought. It was really just what were we going to do every single day in every match that would give us the best chance of success.
Worldwide, there are so many examples there of great coach and captain combination. They agree, they disagree, they scream, they hug, they make up. Was there any instances, or maybe one instance or instances, where you may have agreed or disagreed largely with Captain Mahendra Singh Dhoni, and if so, who wins that battle most of the time?
Well, you know, we're the two leaders of the team, and we have very defined areas. I mean, he's in control of things when they walk onto the cricket field, and you know, my responsibility is to prepare the guys to get them there. So, with two defined areas, and then obviously we would talk a lot about, you know, the selection of the team and various other things. And you know, MS and I are very different people, but we never had a cross word. You know, I think we respected each other's space. I always felt that if I could see that the captain had a gut feel about something or a particular selection, I'd let him run with that, because I believe in him and I backed what he could do as a captain.
So, like I said in the beginning, you came here as a South African, now going back as a half Indian. Now, if the government of India offers you an honorary Indian citizenship, will you take it up?
Oh, well, I consider it an honor. Obviously, I mean, it's I've forged some good friendships here. You know, I've had a remarkable time. My family have really enjoyed themselves. We've been well treated in India by everyone. I really feel it as an honor that the Indian people have embraced me and my family like they have, and I've got nothing but gratitude, you know, for that process and for this magnificent 3 years I've had with an unbelievable cricket team.
India now will be hunting for a new coach, but so will be Sri Lanka. For the moment though, let's go back and get the Sri Lankan perspective on the World Cup and of course the final itself. We start with Captain Kumar Sangakkara. Our correspondent caught up with him after that heartbreaking loss.
We are disappointed, but I think today we played really well, but we're beaten by a better side.
You made 4 changes coming into a tournament. You know, one of course was enforced with the injury, but a lot of changes for a final.
Yeah, we had to make those changes because of a few injuries here and there. I thought the changes were very positive and they really worked for us. Unfortunately, the Indian team really battered us out of the game.
I mean, when Dhoni came out to bat in his innings after Gambia, it really seemed to take the pace away.
I think they did. We pulled a bit, a few iffy lines and lengths. If we were a bit more on the money at that time and kept the pressure up, maybe we could have turned it around, but they batted exceptionally well.
Sangakkara would be disappointed. So would Mahela Jayawardene, especially after his magnificent 100 ended up being the first occasion when someone scored a century but ended up on the losing side of a World Cup final. Here he is talking to Brian Murgatroyd.
I'm with Mahela Jayawardene. Mahela, a brilliant 100 in the World Cup final, but on the losing side, I'm guessing the 100 isn't much of a consolation.
No, it is not. I mean, I would swap that any day for a championship medal. But yeah, I think we fought well, but wasn't enough. We had to take wickets to control this Indian batting lineup. We got a couple of early wickets. It was important, but we couldn't get anything going after that.
Did you think 274 was going to be enough at the halfway stage?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, 270 on a World Cup final is always going to be difficult total to chase. But I think they chased really well. We didn't have the penetration which we usually normally have, and they batted really well.
Tell us about your innings. It was an absolute masterclass in one-day batting. Absolutely superb. Better than a runner ball. How did you manage to do that?
Well, I think when I went in, felt really good. Got a couple of loose balls. I got few boundaries. Gave me the rhythm, the momentum, and I just carried on. I mean, when Kumar got out, I knew I had to wait till the end. Bat the 50 overs and finish the game off. So that's what I did. And with the power plays, you always can catch up. And I'm quite happy with the effort, but unfortunately, on the losing side.
And a word on Mattaya Muralitharan. It's the end of his career. You haven't been able to give him that medal, the World Cup medal, a second one for him. But, it must have been a privilege to share a dressing room with him.
Oh, it's absolutely brilliant. Person-wise, he's a great gentleman and plus a very good competitor. I think, what we've learned over the years is from him, how to compete, how to, push himself to be a better player all the time. He's not happy with where he is. Keep pushing himself. So those are some things that I've learned from him as well. Try and push myself. So yeah, I mean it's going to be a huge loss, but the guy has delivered for Sri Lanka, and I think he can. Even though we've lost today, I think he could he could bow out with his head held high, and what he has achieved.
And where does this team go now, Mahela, and where do you go?
Well, I think we've had a great couple of years together, and there'll be few guys, especially Murali is not going to be around, but there are some exciting youngsters. I think for me, I'll see how it goes. I mean, it's important that we mold the next generation of cricketers in Sri Lanka as well. So try and contribute to that, and try and push myself to be better and better and better than I am right now, and there'll be a day comes that I feel that I'm not going to contribute to this team, so that'll probably the day that I call it a day.
And just finally, a word on India, the world champions, worthy world champions.
Oh, definitely. I think they played some really good cricket. I mean, they didn't start off well in the league games, but they built momentum. They've always had experience. They've had a very explosive batting lineup. I think that was their strength. The bowlers, kept tagging along, but I think, they proved themselves, in the knockout stages when the going got tough, they really, stepped to the plate and, played some really consistent cricket the last 3 games and definitely worthy champions.
And to complete the picture of our Sri Lankan perspective here on ICC Cricket World, we now chat with Ranjit Fernando, who not just looks back at the World Cup, but also at the turmoil that Sri Lankan cricket now finds itself in. Here he is talking to our correspondent Jatin Sapru.
Mr. Fernando, thank you so much for joining us here. We're seeing some harsh reactions coming at the back of Sri Lanka's campaign in the World Cup 2011. Many are saying that it's a bit of an overreaction. Would you like to say so?
I would think so. I think the overreaction is really a backlash of the disappointment. I mean, all of us are enormously disappointed because there was a lot of hope at a certain stage of the game. And I think that is quite natural. And I really think that sort of thing is going to pass away very quickly, because that type of sort of reaction will always come around. And I'm sure Sri Lanka cricket will get back to its normal life and keep on improving.
Mr. Fernando, in fact, it's gone to an extent that people are comparing it to, how things work in Pakistan cricket, with resignations coming almost every minute. It almost appears that as if it's been a very dismal campaign, but on the contrary, it hasn't really been. Sri Lanka made it to the finals. Has it really hurt the public so much, or one of the reasons is because it's back-to-back disappointment in a World Cup final?
I think the resignations have only been sensationalized. I don't think there was anything at all to the resignations. These were sort of normal things which would have come anyhow. Say if you look deeply into it, Kumar Sangakkara in fact had indicated that even before the World Cup to the chairman of the selectors that he was in fact contemplating of handing the reins over to someone else, because he thought that was in the right interest of Sri Lanka cricket. And I don't think there's anything that can be added to that. As for the selectors, I'm one of them, and as you know, our term ends on the 30th of April, and we felt that it is the right thing to do, to offer our resignations or to look to step down, purely because Sri Lanka has to make a lot of very, very major decisions. Sri Lanka needs a captain. Sri Lanka needs to try and decide on a policy for our cricket to take it forward, because we've got an enormous amount of talent around, and is in very good shape, Sri Lanka cricket is, so we can't really let anything go wrong. And we felt the right way to do is for a new set of selectors who would be appointed on the 30th of April to in fact start making the decisions now, because we don't want to lump it with anything that we have thought of. Then they have to plan for the future on the short term and the long term, and that really is the only thing. And as for Mahendra was in fact given the job only for the World Cup, and he had indicated that at that time that he would do it because the World Cup is such an important thing, and he felt that if the selectors wanted him to do it, that there was no question of him not even considering it, and he has now indicated that that again would have to be given to someone else, because he would like to continue to play, making a bigger contribution in some other form. So with Kumar Sangakkara and Mahendra there, I think our cricket is in very safe hands, because they are experienced campaigners, very, very stable guys, and they can in fact be the mentors to Sri Lanka cricket, like Sachin Tendulkar is to Indian cricket. So I don't think there's anything to read in between the lines. Everything is very transparent and cut and dry, and I think Sri Lanka cricket is ready to take off.
Thank you so much, Mr. Fernando, for joining us here and giving your insights about what's been happening in Sri Lanka cricket. Wishing you and everyone all the best.
Thank you very much, Jatin, and pleasure talking to you.
Well, we've brought you the Indian side of things and the Sri Lankan side on ICC Cricket World, but there's so much else happening in the world of cricket. Time to check out the news from Jatin Sapru.
After leading his side admirably to the final of the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011, Kumar Sangakkara has decided that it was time for a change of guard. The wicketkeeper batsman stepped down as skipper of the national side on Tuesday following Sri Lanka's defeat in the final against India. Sangakkara quit as the ODI and the T20 captain, but he has urged the selectors to continue with him as the skipper of the Test side for the forthcoming series with England and Australia, giving the side enough time in the interim to find suitable replacements in all forms of the game. In his statement, Sangakkara said that he was making way for the new captain so that he can have enough time to groom the side for the 2015 ICC Cricket World Cup in Australia and New Zealand. News from the Pakistan camp now. Former Pakistan skipper Javed Mirdad has been tipped to take over the position of the batting coach of the side. The PCB has called in Mirdad to address the batting woes of the team, which according to the board has weakened the side's performance at the international level. The prolific Mirdad had helped the side in 2009 and 2010. Meanwhile, Mirdad has said that he will be happy to help Pakistan cricket team. New Zealand cricket chief Justin Vaughan has expressed his desire to see outgoing skipper Daniel Vettori play the 2015 ICC Cricket World Cup, which will be co-hosted by Australia and New Zealand. According to Vaughan, Vettori's decision to quit T20 internationals will help him prolong his playing career. Vettori has also stepped down as the Test captain of the Black Caps, but is still holding on to his post in the ODI format. The all-rounder will turn 36 by the time the next World Cup comes around. Despite a promising show in the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011, the Associate Nations won't be a part of the next edition of the mega event, which will be hosted by Australia and New Zealand in 2015. This decision was taken by the Executive Board of the ICC on Monday. The next edition of the World Cup will only comprise of 10 teams. The Associate Nations, however, will feature in the ICC World T20, which takes place every 2 years. And the Pepsi ICC World Cricket League Division 2 will kickstart on April 8 in Dubai. Namibia, Uganda, Bermuda, Papua New Guinea, UAE and Hong Kong will take part in this tournament. The first match will be played between the UAE and Namibia in the Dubai Sports City Stadium.
A lot of disappointment for Sri Lanka, but the real big news is the fact that the next World Cup will see only 10 teams already. Lots of negative reaction coming to that. Watch the space for much more. Time now to check who's up and who's down. Here's Jatin Sapru with our Reliance Mobile ICC ODI rankings.
In the latest Reliance ICC player rankings for ODI batsmen, Sri Lanka's Tilakaratne Dilshan has made his way up the ranking chart to a career-best third position. The rise comes after his stupendous form with the bat in the ICC Cricket World Cup, where he scored a total of 500 runs and was the highest run-getter of the tournament. Meanwhile, another batsman who is enjoying his rise in the ODI rankings is Sachin Tendulkar. The second highest run scorer in the ICC Cricket World Cup has moved one place up to 9th. On the other hand, his teammate Gautam Gambhir's crucial knock of 97 in the final against Sri Lanka, at the back of some steady performances, has helped the Delhi lad to jump 4 places to the 10th position. The South African duo of Hashim Amla and AB de Villiers still rule the roost in the ODI rankings. While Amla sits on the top, de Villiers owns the second spot. As for some other World Cup stars, Sri Lanka skipper Kumar Sangakkara still holds fort on the 4th spot, while ICC Player of the Tournament for the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011, Yuvraj Singh occupies the 17th spot along with former Australian captain Ricky Ponting. Riding high on his World Cup form, the Netherlands' go-to man Ryan ten Doeschate holds on tight to the 16th place, and he remains the only batsman from the Associate Nations in the top 20 rankings. Moving on to the Reliance ICC player rankings for ODI bowlers, Sri Lanka's Ajantha Mendes has spun his way to the 8th spot. He returns to his current ranking after a span of almost 2 years. Pakistan's captain Shahid Afridi's 21 scalps in the ICC Cricket World Cup 2011 not only made him the highest wicket taker of the tournament, but this performance has seen him jump 5 places to nail the 9th spot. However, the biggest gainer from Pakistan is Saeed Ajmal. The spinner has climbed 9 places and is now at the 20th position. Going bullish on his current form, Pakistan's Mohammad Hafiz has gained the most in terms of ratings. He has jumped 25 places to reach the 36th spot. Spinners still rule the podium. The top spot is being held by Daniel Vettori, followed by Ray Price at number 2. England's Graham Swan is on the 3rd spot, while South African speedster Dale Steyn is at number 4. In the Reliance ICC rankings for ODI teams, newly crowned world champions India are closing the gap on table toppers Australia, and they have narrowed the gap to only 7 points. ICC Cricket World Cup 2011 runners-up Sri Lanka have displaced South Africa from the 3rd spot. The Proteas are now number 4 in the rankings.
Well, despite winning the ICC World Cup 2011, India still narrowly behind Australia in the Reliance Mobile ICC ODI rankings. Well, we've seen who's on top in those rankings, but it's time for us to come to the bottom of our show. We hope you've enjoyed this special edition of ICC Cricket World as we've looked back at what's been a successful ICC World Cup 2011. Until we see you again, this is Gautam Bhimani saying goodbye.